Welcome, one and all, from all over the world to Mystic Radio Podcast. I am your host, Spirit Lady Robin Alexis. You can learn more about me and my work at robinalexis.com. My husband and I have hosted the Mystic Radio Podcast for over 19 years. We offer a relaxed moment for you to discover the extraordinary and to explore the unseen world. I will offer the Mystic Radio Seat of Honor to give it to intriguing authors and other fascinating people. And I will also be offering readings. We tell everyone this show is an experience, not an explanation. Our hope is that you will learn to know, trust, and act upon your own knowing. And now I'm going to play the gong to clear the energy to start the show. And as we settle in and relax, my guest today in the seat of honor of Mystic Radio is an author and illustrator who also has many other skill sets. We will be discussing her many offerings in other shows, but today we speak with her as author and illustrator Elizabeth Diane. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Robin. It's really a joy to be here, and I want to say hello and much love to all your listeners.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am holding in my hand the most beautiful, adorable illustrated book by Elizabeth Diane, and it's called Shasta the Skunk Honey Bee Hero. And I don't care how old you are going to fall in love with this book. If you just look at the illustrations alone, if you just have a little kid who's not even quite ready to hear words or a word here and there, you can get this book for a holiday gift. Makes a good stocking stuffer, by the way. It is so cute. And then as you're ready or your child is ready to learn about the things that are offered in this book, which we're going to talk to Lisa about in a moment, your mind's going to be blown because I bet there's a lot you don't know about bees. But before we get more to the book, Lisa, what was your first relationship with a bee?
Oh, wow. Well, the first one that I recall, I was probably 1 year old, and I was so curious about them. And I remember them landing on the dandelions in the grass in the yard of my home and having such a curiosity. And my parents saying, "Don't step on that, that's a bee." And I think at that age, all I could hear was, "What? Step on it?" And so the next thing I saw, I out of curiosity and just pure passion, I just stepped right on it, and I looked up at them to see what would happen. You know, I didn't feel the sting, but it was like an initiation. You know, in my innocence and curiosity, I took in that bee medicine. Bees are known to have a venom that actually can be healing for the body. And for whatever reason, I connected with that bee. And after that, a few years later, I recall having waking visions of giant bees around me. And I was amazed at them. And I never told anybody as a child. It was just way out there. And they came back to me in my adult life in some meditations. And they came back. Yeah.
Yeah, circle back to a little bit more detail. How old were you? And did this happen like when you were in bed, or you'd be sitting outside, or, you know, when would you have these? Vision? Yeah.
I was standing in the yard in this gravel area that was for parking, and there was a fence on three sides and the house on the other side. And I was just standing there, looked up and saw these giant bees. And when I say giant, they were in my vision like 18 inches long, like impossible size. And it seemed very real to me. So I don't know if I was out of my body and in some sort of vision state or what. But I just remember watching and going, I'm so amazed I'm not afraid of them.
And you were afraid of telling other people you saw them.
Yes.
But it stayed with you. It stayed with you until you were an adult. And then what happened when you were an adult? What was your relationship that got nurtured with the bees?
Well, when I was adult, and one day I was meditating, and I suddenly had a sense there was a plant in my room that had been gifted to me, and my mind was suddenly drawn to it in my meditation. And in my mind's eye, I could see a giant bee hovering over that plant, and I was stunned. And then I didn't know what it meant. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's what I saw when I was a child. And then a short time later, I don't know how many months or year late or so later, I had a dream in the dream state, but it was very vivid and lucid. And this woman appeared to me, and she seemed immortal and eternal and just pure love and focused. She just came up to me and looked me right in the eyes and handed me one of these giant bees. I mean, it took her two hands, this bee was bigger than the width of her body, and she handed it to me and said, "You are full of Venus energy." I didn't know what to make of that. I just looked at her and I knew it was important, so I just received it. And a short time after that, I discovered through a friend who wanted to offer me an astrology reading, and I had never done that before, but I accepted his offer, and he explained the whole chart to me. It was an evolutionary astrology chart, and he explained how it was different than other charts, and he says, "Now, look here, 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 here." He's like pointing all around the chart, and he says, "All of those," and he turns and looks at me, and he says, "Those are Venus. You're full of Venusian energy." He said it almost exactly the way this woman in the dream said. And so after that, I'd heard that I was really curious, what is this connection with Venus and the bees? And so that's been a deep dive. And I don't have any solid answers except that some people have said that they came through the planet Venus, or perhaps they were gifted by, the goddess Venus, who has many other names. And so that's really how it came to me. And then a short time after that, I wanted to I do sacred geometry, and I wanted to do a drawing, and I just meditated on what shall I do? And the bees showed up in that. I was seeing like the flower of life pattern, which if the listeners don't know the flower of life, it is 6 circles around one that continue out. The pattern itself can continue to infinity. And so my page was filling up with these circles in the flower of life, and their intersection points create a hexagon. So the flower of life was morphing into hexagons. And I thought, oh, that's cool. It's about the bees. And then I see in the bottom of the vision, an upside down dead bee, like lifeless. And I was crushed. It was a honeybee. And I was like, why would I draw this? This doesn't sound very positive. Why am I seeing this? And I felt like it was an important message. I did not know about colony collapse, but I learned about it right after that. And it was right at the beginning of colony collapse.
Okay, well, before we go any further, we are speaking with Elizabeth Diane. She is the author and illustrator of the book called Shasta the Skunk, Honey Bee Hero. It is an absolutely beautiful book. Within the first 48 hours of it being on Amazon, it did become a bestseller, a new release. It's a beautiful book for gifting during the holiday. It can go for any age group. So as you're continuing to listen to this, you may be wrapping presents as we speak. You can go onto Amazon and look for this book. Now there's 3 things I want to ask you, and I think I'm going to go to the thought I had first Lisa, which is in the beginning of this interview, I asked you, what was your first experience? And then you talked about your second experience with bees. And you said you were comfortable with these metaphysical experiences, but you weren't comfortable telling anyone about them. Here you are now talking about them. What changed?
A lot. Yeah. The importance of being able to speak and share my truth without feeling shame or doubt. And it's the doubt that a lot of my life closed down my connection to source, to divinity. And it's been quite a process of working to open that back up again,
So Lisa, would you say that one of the characters in the book, Shasta the skunk, kind of represents you? It sounds like you found out this is somewhat of a soul purpose for you, to be like a bee whisperer or a bee educator, or however we wish to articulate it. We'll get to that a little bit down the road, but I want people listening to understand that when someone becomes an author and an illustrator, they have prepared themselves, maybe since they were 1 year old, to be able to focus and create something that you can just go to Amazon and pick up and get for yourself and your family. So it's really, really important to understand the magnitude of the gift that this book has to offer through Lisa's energy and her journey alone. The other thing, Lisa, when you said that you were drawing, you saw the hexagon. You started drawing the hexagon, and you said, of course, that made you think of the bees. What's the correlation between the hexagon and the bees?
Their honeycomb pattern is, it's all they're all hexagonal, six-sided cells, and they form them so perfectly. It's really amazing, but that is the connection.
Okay, so for people listening, you can make that connection in your mind. If you've never seen a honeycomb, you're going to start getting exposed to things about bees. And then you mentioned colony collapse. What exactly is that?
Colony collapse has been a bit of a mystery, and with a lot of research and exploration, especially beekeepers who are very concerned about their commercial bee businesses, and also, farmers and beekeepers that were just devastated because they get so connected to their bees, just devastated to walk out to their hives and open them up for their inspections or whatever, and find that the bees were completely gone, vanished. On occasion, they would walk out and find heaps of dead bees, like the whole hive died. And, trying to find what was the cause of this has been taken years and years. Ironically, I was in Hawaii on the Big Island quite a few years back, and met William Gizecki, who had a part in the documentary, The Vanishing of the Bees. And so we had some great conversations about that. And that was an influential movie to me. That was a part of my education because, he does a lot of unbiased, diligent research and interviews with people to find out that it appeared that there were many factors causing colony collapse. And at the same time, beekeepers will tell you that there are times where if the bees decide they're going to move or leave, they just do. They have a wisdom about what they need, but nobody knew where they were going to. It wasn't like people finding wild feral colonies all around, but they weren't finding remotely located dead piles of bees either. So when you understand that they have the capability to communicate with us the way a lot of our pets do and other animals, that they also have that ability to consciously connect with us, then there may be something else to look at other than the physical evidence, which is the physical evidence. We can see all kinds of factors such as pesticide use, which is probably the biggest, But the industry treats the bees as though they're just a commodity to make money, like we see in a lot of farming practices. Just, purely motivated by profit in a lot of cases. And they have been weakened, and I have a sense that they are trying to preserve themselves, and that they need to get out of an abusive situation, so to speak.
Wow, don't a lot of us on this planet today. So let me tell you, or ask you, I should say, there may be some people listening who don't understand how important bees are. And so they may be wondering, you're obviously compelled to be a bee whisperer and to care for them and to educate people. For people who don't understand the correlation of the value of the bees in farming and food, the most basic information, what would you like to tell the listeners?
Thank you so much. Yeah, the bees have such a synergy with flowers, of course, but the blossoms on much of the produce that we eat needs to be pollinated. And the bees are a big part of that. There are other bugs, insects that do some pollination, butterflies, for example, which are very important as well. And bees, and the honeybees in particular, will pollinate certain plants like almonds. Almonds are only pollinated by honeybees. So if we don't have bees, we're in big trouble. And then Albert Einstein is quoted as saying that if the bees die completely, he estimates we have about 3 years of human life left on the planet, because we would have such a decline in food resources. And part of that is our nutrition that we need. So much of that would drop.
Yeah, this is amazing information. It really, gets down to the reality of, if you don't know about bees, you really better start, because we got to look out for them. Before I ask you any more questions, Lisa, are the bees communicating to you something that they would like said on the show?
Yes. They are so full of joy, and they understand the interconnectedness with each other to such a degree that they just cooperate. And, their life is lived drinking the nectar of flowers and, rolling in the pollen and taking it home. And they're like one organism in the hive. And so I think that the message for us from them at this time is to understand our interconnectedness with all life. They rely on life on the planet, obviously, and, they don't just help themselves out, they help each other out, but they also help the flowers and the plants. And so they're part of a mutually beneficial, reciprocal relationship. And I think
they make honey.
They make honey.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is they can be so abundant with their honey. And, when there's extra, then, animals and humans can take some. I always recommend that people ask first. They tune in with the bees, that they make sure they're not taking away the bees' food source that they need to make it through winter, or through a dry spell when there's no flowers or trees pollinating. But they do share.
They do share. And Lisa is sharing her book, Shasta the Skunk, Honey Bee Hero. It is a beautiful book. She illustrated it. It's so cute. I mean, no matter what age of a child or infant that you have, even if they're just looking at the illustrations at first, until eventually you can teach them to read by learning to read Honey Bee Hero. And then eventually they'll grow up and they'll be reading the book back to you that has all the information in it. So it's a timeless book. I highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon. Now, Lisa, we were talking about how clearly this is a soul mission of yours. You're obviously able to communicate with the bees. You worked really, really hard on this book. And so I hope people are picking up on the energy and the beauty of it so they do get it and share it with their family and friends. But I'd like to bring in now that I'm actually a co-author on this book. And that journey it's really interesting because when my dad passed away last Christmas, my daughter sent me a box of things that my dad still had of mine. And in it was a box of stories that I had written in high school. And this particular character at the time was called Sasha the skunk. But now, of course, she's Shasta the skunk because we live in Mount Shasta. But anyway, the reason why I wrote about her, which she is a skunk without a stripe, is because when I was in high school, I was really depressed. I felt like I didn't belong at all. I pretended that I did. I was the cheerleader, class president, all that kind of stuff. But when I went home at night and, looked in the mirror, I was like, okay, you can do that, but you're not really sharing you. And like Lisa was saying earlier, it's very difficult to be authentic at a young age and say, oh, by the way, I just saw a bee in my third eye. Or, for me, there were other experiences. So when I don't remember exactly how it happened. I think I went to Lisa and I said, hey, I want to donate this book to your nonprofit. We have to co-author it so it fits in with the bees. But it would really be a deep honor to me after, 50 years of being a senior in high school to finally get the voice of this troubled teenager out there where, she, like Lisa, we have found our voices. We found our soul purposes. And like the bees, we're collaborating and we're creating this book together. So, I just wanted to share that with you, that Lisa did most of the work on this. You'll see, I can't even draw a stick figure and I know basically nothing about bees, but my heart is with Lisa and her work and what she does. And anyone who doesn't know about bees, you got to know about bees. You got to teach kids about bees. So again, we're talking about Shasta the Skunk, Honeybee Hero. It is written by Robin Alexis and Elizabeth Diane, illustrated by Elizabeth Diane. It's available on Amazon. It's such a beautiful book. And it's small enough that you could actually put it into a Christmas stocking. So really hoping you guys get excited about this book as we are. Now, Lisa, what else would you like to say about the book? And what else would you like to tell people about where the profits of this book are going to?
Well, the first thing I want to say about this book is that I was waiting till you got to that little detail that we co-wrote it, because it was such a beautiful process. It's such an honor to carry your story and to realize what it meant for your purpose and how it can serve others who maybe don't feel that they fit in the world. And it encourages us that we do have a purpose and that it can show up in unusual ways. And I so appreciate your supportiveness. As you mentioned earlier, me working to be able to share openly what is true for me, what is real for me, what I've had in my visions and what it means to me. You're just such a support for that and an amazing guide that way and seer. So, yeah, you've been a great soul coach along this journey with me to really write the story in a way that's authentic and the deeper meaning comes through in such a beautiful way. So, yeah, I think that people of all ages, I've been getting like just really awesome reactions from people who have read it and referred to the sweetness of the images, which I feel like are for all people, can enjoy them. They're a little whimsical and fun. And then the meaning, the story. And the story, I don't want to give it away, but it's just super empowering message about belonging and community and sharing and finding our purpose and lifting each other up. And it's a celebration. So the all of the proceeds of Shasta the Skunk Honeybee Hero go to Be Well Hive NFP, which is a not-for-profit, a 501c3 that is established here in Mount Shasta, California, and that has a really sweet mission. It does support the assisting the bees and education, but the main general, broader scope of Be Well Hive is nurturing wellness and building resilient community in Mount Shasta and beyond borders. So 100% of the profits from the sales of this book, either paperback or ebook, go to Be Well Hive NFP, which is we've got the beginnings of our website up at bewellhive.org. So I invite people to come there, and you can find a link to purchase. And you can also send us an email if you like. And we also have a simple donation page if you'd like to support our mission. We have a beautiful community here that does collect like a hive, honoring the interconnectedness of each other and how, the effects of one of us can impact the other in such a great way. And so we do things like support an ecstatic dance, a weekly community event that's all ages, sober, very healing, very uplifting. And we have plans for future projects that are along this line, along with more education about how people can help with the bees, help save the bees and live like the bees, enjoy
and live like the bees.
Yeah, cross-pollinate with each other's wisdom and enjoy the
I love that. Cross-pollinate with each other's wisdom. That's what we did. And we got this great book to share for people. Again, it's Shasta the Skunk, Honeybee Hero. You can find it on Amazon. And it's a great, oh my gosh, just feel it. Feel the energy of that book coming through this podcast. And then I'm sure you'll go get it for yourself and others. I would like to ask you, Lisa, is there any part of the book at all that you would like to read?
Certainly. Since we don't have time for the whole thing, obviously, I turned to a page that I think is just right.
Okay.
The image is so sweet, too, because Be Well the Bee is curiously looking and observing Shasta the Skunk's glowing, radiant heart. And this is what this page says. Now aware of his unique purpose, Shasta's heart was full of something he could only describe as sweet nectar. I'd be delighted, Be Well, after being asked to help. And then I will see if the bears are willing to wait for you to share with them in the springtime, so I don't have to stink spray them all the time, said Shasta. Be Well the Bee liked that Shasta the Skunk respected her and wanted to learn everything he could about her and the other bees. She trusted him to help her beehive family. So that's
that's a little taste of it. Oh, I got God bumps from head to toe. I just, to know you can be your authentic self and you can fit in and serve and be part of a community, whether you're a human, a skunk, a bear, or a bee, this book is for you. Again, it's Shasta the Skunk, Honey Bee Hero. It's available on Amazon. It's written by Robin Alexis and Elizabeth Diane, illustrated by Elizabeth Diane. We really hope that you, your family, your loved ones enjoy it as much as we have enjoyed telling you it's available. And now I'm feeling the bees around me. So what are the bees doing?
They are celebrating. They're giving a lot of Robin. I just sense them, watching you and pointing to you and just saying, thank you, Robin. Yeah. They are full of bliss. The bees just bring so much bliss, and so they are celebrating. That's what I feel.
Well, I can feel it too now that you're introducing it. And I would like to say that earlier I said my guest today in the seat of honor of Mystic Radio was Elizabeth Diane, but now we know the guest is Elizabeth Diane and the bees. And again, the book, Shasta the Skunk, Honeybee Hero. Thank you all for listening to Mystic Radio. I am Spirit Lady Robin Alexis. You can visit my website, robinalexis.com, and there are of Mystic Radio Show podcasts in there you can indulge yourself in and listen to. And you can learn about why you might want to email me at spiritladyrobin@gmail.com and become a guest on this show. You can be an intriguing author, you can be a fascinating person, or you can be someone who wants a reading. When you look at my website, you'll see what I used to do on Mystic Radio is people would call in live from all over the world, and I would never know what they were going to ask me, but it was always intriguing to answer their questions, and it always ended up being a surrogate healing for the others who were listening. So don't hesitate to email me at spiritladyrobin@gmail.com if you would like to sit in the seat of honor on Mystic Radio with me in the future broadcast. Thank you so much, Lisa, and I hope, again, everyone, the book, Shasta the Skunk, Honeybee Hero, is available on Amazon. Thank you, Lisa, and the bees.
So much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Robin and the bees.